Scott, you got Brenden, you got Cam. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. This is what a party this is. I mean, I always get to be with you. That is really, really cool. But to have like a Hall of Famer like Cam Moon on with us too, this is like my birthday, Christmas, Valentine's Day all rolled up into one. This is a really good night for me.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Well, we're glad to have you aboard. And of course, spirits, as we talked about last night, spirits in the city are exceptionally high right now, almost as if they've won the series. They haven't. It's important we all keep the perspective that they haven't achieved this yet. But overall, the boys in orange and blue are playing a really strong hockey game right now. And I think that, the crowd can sense that.
They can. If you look at the first, we're now 4 games in, I would say, and I'm sure Mooner would agree somewhat, that the Oilers have been the better team in 9 of the 12, maybe 10. They have done it with depth scoring. They've done it with great goaltending, special teams at times. They've done different ways, and I think that's the best part about a team that's moving on further and further in the playoffs. They find different ways to win. And I think the Oilers right now are clicking. I mean, last night was a celebration other than the fact that they lost a really good hockey player who might be done for the season.
Yeah, devastating stuff. And how, I mean, we can launch into that, though I don't know how much we can really say about it other than, yes, he's injured. Yes, it's likely to be for the rest of the playoffs. But as far as what they're going to do to mitigate that absence, Rob, still not sure who's going to draw in and not even sure what formation they might take, whether it's 12-6 or 11-7, right? There's still a lot of uncertainty.
There is, and there's probably more uncertainty for the rest of this series as opposed to when they get into if and hopefully they get into the Stanley Cup Finals. At that point, they'll go 12-6, and they'll make a decision who the 12th forward is. Against Dallas tomorrow night, maybe they go 11-7. Maybe this is the opportunity for Ekholm to get back into the lineup. But this is an opportunity for other players to step up. I mean, if someone asked me, what does Hyman bring? Well, he's a 50-goal scorer that plays any power play, your penalty kill, 4-on-4, plays against the other team's best players. And, he was about to set a record for the most hits in the history of a playoff run. So no one player is going to be able to accomplish all that. But there's going to the Oilers are deeper than they have been since I've been here. So there are other players that are going to have to step up, and that's the difference between a good team, a very good team, and a great team is when you go through injuries, depth players come into play. And I think we're going to see that here over the next, hopefully, rest of this series and the series that comes after.
And further to that, Rob, the Oilers, the last 2 games, holding an incredibly good Dallas Stars team to 4 shots in each of the last 2 third periods. To be able to squeeze the life out of the opposition in the third when you would expect the Stars trailing at that point that there's going to be a push, and the Oilers not letting that push happen. How impressive has that been?
Well, and you know as well as I do that there's always shot effects, that a team will have a ton of shots when they're trailing in a hockey game, and it looks not bad at the end of the game. The shots are like, it was close in shots. But over the course of the period, you're like, well, that's because they were down 2, they were down 3. The team trailing always plays with desperation, and they have their push. Well, there was no push the last 2 games because the Edmonton Oilers wouldn't let them. The Edmonton Oilers just, they shut them down. And what you're seeing from this team is just a mature, professional game when it comes time to closing out hockey games. And it's led by Connor and Leon. You know what? We don't have a play to make. Let's dump it in. When you're at the blue line, okay, we don't have the numbers. Get it behind the defense. In your own zone, off the glass and out. This is a team that understands you don't have to always be pretty, but they're being very productive. And it has been a fantastic display of good defensive hockey by an Oilers team that's trying to get one win further than they did last year.
Rob, we talked a little bit in the postgame last night about Edmonton stifling Dallas's rush attack. I wonder if you could explain for our audience this afternoon just what you think Edmonton has done well to make that the case.
To me, it's all puck management. Most odd man breaks that come back against you are because you turn the puck over in a neutral zone or you turn the puck over at the far blue line and your 3 forwards are going forward and all of a sudden there's a turnover, you're going the wrong direction and they catch you. The Oilers are just not turning the puck over. They're not trying an 80-foot pass cross ice. They're not trying a 15-foot pass through someone else's stick. They're seeing, okay, do we have numbers? No. Let's get it behind the defenseman. It's just, they understand the strength of the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars are not a team that likes to grind it out, and I think we see the lack of physicality shows that. But they're a team that can come back and strike you when you turn the puck over. They got a bunch of guys that can score, but they're not getting those easy looks. We're not seeing the grade A chances on a 3-on-2, a 2-on-1, because the Oilers aren't giving them that. So you're taking away the strength of the Dallas Stars because you're playing smart when you have the puck. And to me, that's just an Oilers team realizing the importance of puck management. And they've played it to a T, not just in this series, probably from Game 3 against the LA Kings. They've become a good defensive team, a smart professional team that understands the importance of making the right play, not just some of the time, but all of the time.
That seems to me, Rob, that was where the buy-in came, was after those first couple of games against the Kings, that the team, and they had to battle back in Game 3, had to battle back in Game 4, and but at that point in Games 3 and 4, it seemed like that puck management was better, and the odd man rushes against were less. It was just a smarter, more mature game. That says something, I guess, about the buy-in of the players to the coaching staff and to everybody to be successful when you learn those hard lessons that you learned in those first two games against the Kings.
And it starts too, Moner, with your star players. If Connor and Leon buy in, it's really hard for Kane or Hyman or Nuge or Brown or Arvidsson or anybody else to not have the complete buy-in. Because if Connor and Leon are willing to dump the puck in and not try to make a play that might work, but to make the play that will work, well, then everyone's going to buy in. So maybe a kick in the gut early in the playoffs with the LA Kings was an eye-opener for the Edmonton Oilers, and they learned from it. And Chris Knobloch, he sets up a game plan. And all right, here's what we got to do. Here's where their strengths are. Here's where their weaknesses are. Let's see if we can limit what they're good at. And I think what we've seen over the course of the year and a half that Knobloch has been the coach is adjustments that he makes during a series are second to none. He seems more like a 20-year NHL coach than a guy that's coached he's only in his second playoff season. So good on him and good on the players buying in to a program, because what we've seen thus far, it works.
Rob Brown on the line right now for our friends at Hughes Car Wash. We'd better talk about the goaltending and Stuart Skinner, the way he's turned things around here to the point where he's completely outdueled Jake Ottinger in a scenario that most people who called this a toss-up series thought that one of the advantages Dallas was going to have, of course, was going to be in net. And I think that most hockey fans would have agreed upon that. But a .910 save percentage on the whole playoffs now. That includes the first couple of blowouts for Stuart Skinner. He has been what I would call demoralizing for the Dallas Stars, Rob.
Well, it is. There's both teams, you go through their lineups. Here's the strength of one team. Here's the strength of the other. The Oilers, I thought, had the advantage up front in their 12 forwards. I think on paper, the Dallas Stars probably have a better lineup up front. But playing in the playoffs, I think the Oilers' 12 forwards have been much more consistent. And we're playing better. I think on defense, I thought that maybe Dallas's top three were probably better. But overall, the top, when you combine all six, I thought the Oilers had better depth. So I think that was a cross-out. Where the Dallas Stars should have had a huge advantage was in net. I mean, Jake Ottinger is a star in this league. He was in the Four Nations Cup. He might be the starter for the Americans next year. And Stuart Skinner's had a roller coaster year. So the one huge advantage that the Dallas Stars had was in net. And if they don't have that going forward, if they don't have that in this series, they can't beat the Oilers, because the other places where the Oilers have strength over the Dallas Stars will take over in the series. And that's what we've seen. Skinner has outplayed Jake Ottinger. And the Dallas Stars are not capable, in my opinion, of beating the Edmonton Oilers if their goaltending is the same or lesser than what we've seen from the Oilers. And thus far in this series, Stuart Skinner has been by far the better of the two goalies.
Yeah, I think of the key times being the first period of last night's game being the second period of Game 3, when Dallas had every opportunity to take control of a game or at least get themselves out and ahead of it. And Stewart's, again, it's not how many saves you make, it's when you make them, and give your team that chance. And that had to be somewhat, I would guess, demoralizing for the Stars to play as well as they did in those two periods and not see anything from it.
Well, I've been in that position too before, Mooner, where you play a fantastic period. You're like, we did everything right there. I mean, that was as good as we can play. And you're sitting in the dressing room like, how are we losing? I don't understand. This was as good as we can play. We did everything the right way, and we're losing. That's what happened in the first period last night. The other night were the Oilers in the second period in Game 3. The Stars were by far the better team. It wasn't even close. And at the end of the period, they were no closer in the score than they were before that period even started. So it's demoralizing. And what it also is now in the heads of the Dallas Stars, and you can see it in the first period last night, the Dallas Stars had about 5 or 6 shots where they were wide open. They had grade A scoring opportunities, and they missed the net. And that, to me, is a team that's trying to be too precise now because they're thinking. They're like, okay, this kid's on fire. We're going to have to it's got to be the perfect shot. So instead of being instinctive, where the puck's on your stick and you're just shooting, and your body lets you know where that puck's supposed to go, they're trying to place a puck somewhere. And when you try to do it that way, it don't work. So Stuart Skinner is in the heads of the Dallas Star players, and that's not a good thing if you're an offensive player. If you're thinking, you're probably not going to score.
Last one for Rob Brown here on Oilers Now. I wanted to get a thought on Corey Perry's production, Rob. Just, 9 points in 15 games. It's not necessarily outstanding, but it just seems to be when the production comes. The game-winning goal in the game last night. He's just very visible out on the ice. I wonder what you think of his play.
Well, I mean, he's a 40-year-old guy that when the Oilers signed him at the beginning of the season, there was a lot of, maybe he plays 40 games this season. Oh, they might have paid him too much. But the players in the dressing room wanted him. They felt that he's an important part of that dressing room. His gamesmanship, his experience. There's nothing that the Oilers are going to see in this playoff run, including and the injuries they have, that he hasn't seen at some point in his playoff career. How many times has he been to the finals? He's got a Stanley Cup win. So I think Corey Perry is he's an example of a rink rat that he just loves the game, and he understands how to play the game, and he is an important part of this Oilers team. And if the Oilers eventually do move on, and then they do win a Stanley Cup, Corey Perry will be a huge part of that, whether it's something he's done on the ice or something he's done in the dressing room. And I believe the Edmonton Oilers management and the Edmonton Oilers leadership group understood that, and that's a big reason why he's back.
Great stuff, Rob. Appreciate it very much, and we will talk to you tomorrow on the City Ford Face-Off Show.
Sounds good. Have a good day. Have a good night.